Hey everyone, how you doing? Awesome, not too heavy on the burgers, I hope, huh? Okay, so you sit, and I'm going to try and jump here while I digest. So hey, I'm Guillaume Cabane. People call me G in the US, mostly because they can't pronounce Guillaume correctly. I'm obviously French. I work for Drift. It's a 60% company that's based out of Boston. And we are focused on creating amazing conversations with your customers. And this year is a pretty unique year for me, because it's my 20th anniversary, not of my age, unfortunately, but of doing projects on internet. And I'm still not a billionaire, unfortunately. Some of you might be. If so, you can talk with me. But I've learned a ton, right, over those 20 years and 15 years of working. And so I wanted to share with you what I learned during those years. And haha, my system is not working. Oh, there you go. So what I learned mostly is, as a head of growth, my job is to improve B2B sales funnels, to output more leads, to make more revenue for my company. And I do that mostly through creating automated processes, processes that scale, right? That scale what humans were doing previously. And so naturally, some humans, especially salespeople, tend to hate me because they think I'm stealing their job, which might be true. But I would say, actually, I don't believe that. I actually love salespeople. And I actually married one. This is my wife. And so that's a pretty strong commitment to the cause of salespeople, I hope. And I learned a lot from her. And I learned that she is actually one of the best sales reps in her entire organization of 200 sales reps. And I looked at other organizations, and I saw that it's the same thing in many other companies. Sometimes you got a sales rep who outperforms all the others, even with standardized leads for everyone. And so I wonder, why is that? What do they do better than all the others? And so there are some secrets. And the secret I discovered is that they ask the right questions. They, in my words, they gather data, right? And they use that data to personalize the experience, personalize the pitch, personalize the price, and close the deal. Now, if you look to what we do as marketers, we do none of that, right? We don't really gather data on each individual, and we don't personalize the message or the price. We put the same message and the same price for everyone, and we just hope that it works. Unfortunately, it does not, right? And that's why we have poor personalization, and that's why we have 5% conversion rates on our websites. And some people tell me, hey, it's because I've got the wrong audience. I disagree. If you think you have the wrong audience, do you really think in B2B SaaS that people come to you on your website just to have a jolly good time? Unfortunately, I don't believe that. They come to you because they got a problem, they got a pain that needs solving, and it's not solved, and so they bounce. So how can we apply the learnings from salespeople? How can we scale their secrets? And why don't we just put salespeople all the time up front, right, in front of all the leads? It's a question of cost. It's mostly because they cost too much to put on small leads. And if we ask the question of cost, we need to talk about the efficiency of the business. And this is a concept I like a lot that I learned from Christoph Jans, which is the sales velocity. And sales velocity, you can think of it as the speed, the kilometers per hour for your revenue growth, right? And you can speed up, but you can't change time, right? And time is important because that's how sales velocity is measured. It's measured as, if I can switch this, there you go. It's measured as the number of leads times the average contract value times the conversion rate divided by the time to conversion. So you can move any of these levers, right? You can sell faster, you can have more leads, you can increase your average contract value, you can increase your conversion rate. Any of those levers is going to impact your business positively. And all of these levers are what I use in growth. Oops, I did something wrong. And so that's critical, because now when we look at another metric, which is cost, which you all know, cost of acquisition, that's the only other way to improve the bottom line, right? You can either increase the sales velocity or decrease the cost to acquire users, right? And this red chart here, this red area, is where you lose money. It costs more than you bring money, right? Of course, the opposite is also true, right? If you lower the cost of acquisition, you can have a wider green area, which is where the cost of acquisition is lower than the sales velocity. Now, that's important because there's another metric here, which is the cost of sales, right? Sales reps have a cost. They have a fixed cost, and they have a flexible cost, which is the bonus, right? And you don't want to put the salespeople throughout all of the sales velocity values, right? Because if you put a sales rep on a $50 deal, and that's all they do all day, all month, you're obviously losing money. They are costing you more than they are bringing in terms of revenue. And that's what you see in the no touch, right? In the middle section, you can say that we have some kind of a touch, which is the marketing automation. Oh, this is swiping by itself. Aha, there you go. So, and those two metrics, those two concepts are important concepts that we now call marketing automation and ABM, right? Marketing automation is trying to lower the cost of sales on the people who bring low revenue. And ABM is the opposite. You have very high sales velocity, and you can touch those people a lot because the unit cost of a sales rep is not very important, right? It's marginal. And so when we go back to capturing data, you can say this is, on the ABM side, it's data rich, right? There's low volume of leads, but that generates a great sales experience. On the marketing automation side, it's data poor, and it creates a bad marketing experience, right? So how can we, the question that I have today, and I'm trying to solve, is how can we bring a good marketing experience throughout a wider range of sales velocities? So the way that I'm going to offer to do that is to think of, do we only have two sections? Do we only have marketing automation, where we do nothing, or ABM, where we do everything and we touch a lot? And I don't think that's true, right? There's actually an infinite array of customer velocities. And for each of those small velocities, you can touch a bit more. You can inject a bit more money, right? You can do more marketing activities. So let's look at that. If you think of the sales process, their framework, their usual framework is research, qualify, and engage. My framework as a marketer is collect, enrich, and score, and then you act, right? You collect the data, you enrich the data, you score it, and you act. Let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into it. There you go. Now we're jumping. OK, so there's two data points in the funnel that I'd like to collect, and we all have those, right? If we start at the bottom of the funnel, you have the email address. And the email address is something that all of you capture when you have some kind of a sign-up, all right? However, above the sign-up, you don't have that data, and so you need to look at the IP address. I'm going to show you quickly two examples of better experiences created through those data points. And those experiences, the first one is at the sign-up level. It's called frictionless sign-up. It's something I created when I was the head of growth at Mention. And it simply takes your email address, it pings a third-party API called Clearbit, and it gets the full user profile, and then it sends all of that back into the sign-up form. That reduces the friction and increases the sign-up rate by 30%. All right? The other thing it does is that we get over 100 traits on the user and on the company, and we can use that to create lead scores. And lead scores are very interesting. If you think about it, when we connect to a company called Mad Kudu, it enables us to know the sales velocity of the future sales velocity of a company. The other thing we can do with that data is use it to personalize the onboarding experience. So when I get the role, the title, the company industry, I can change the welcome emails. I can make a welcome email that's more personalized to each individual. Let's hop back to the lead score. We talked about sales velocity. This is the performance of the lead score that's powered by Mad Kudu. They are able to predict that 16% of my leads generate 79% of my won opportunities. It's a huge performance. It's amazing. But wait, there's more. They are able to tell me that that small 16% has 9 times the sales velocity of the second best category. 9 times the sales velocity. So what do when you know they have 16% of your leads that you can predict will have 9 times the velocity? Well, you try to make a better experience for them. And we'll see about that. So we just use the email. And email works really well. There's high match rate. You can create lead scores. But the problem is, it's only 5 to 10% of the people who go through your funnel, the people who give you their email address. So we need to go higher in the funnel. We need to take the IP data. I'm going to show you how we do that. And the IP data is through Clearbit. They offer an API for that. You can get the same company object, the same domain. And so you ping Clearbit, you get the company object, you compute the same score. That's very important. It means that you can predict the sales velocity of an anonymous user before they sign up. And knowing that, you can change the experience on the site. In this case here, we power live chat. And so we created an experience where they see a live chat only if the sales velocity is high. Right? Why is that important? It's important because I don't want to show the live chat to everyone. And I don't want to show the live chat to everyone because it has a cost. Because putting salespeople behind a live chat costs salespeople time. And so here, as you can see, I'm injecting the same custom data. I'm creating a relevant experience in my chat by sending in the name of the company, the technologies that they use. That's amazing, and it has a 5 times increase in conversion rate, 5x, by injecting that custom data in the chat. Right? It still has one problem, is that the people are still seeing a pretty poor experience on the site. The message is still generic. And so I still want to improve the message itself. And that's what we've done. Right? We've actually taken the IP data, the domain data, the sales velocity, the predicted sales velocity, and we've changed the homepage of Segment. Right? That homepage has 4.5 billion combinations. Right? Because the data is injected live. It's not on the second return. It's not on the third visit. It's the first load of an anonymous user will trigger changes from the company name that's injected, the technologies, or the relevant logos based on the industry field. Right? This creates a 3x conversion rate on the high-velocity segment, which is huge, because we're now talking of 100% of the visits. So you just saw 4 examples of creating a better experience based on data collection. But where do we go from here? Right now, I've actually optimized most of my funnel. I've basically fired myself out of a job, right? And that sucks. And so I think about it, and I go back to salespeople, and I think, hey, what do you do that I don't? And I talk with them, and I learn that they are able to detect intent by talking to a company before they come to a website. They do outbound, right? They talk to large companies. And I want to learn how to do that also automatically. But I don't have the data. Before they come to my website, I know nothing, right? And so we thought about it. We thought about how can we scale ABM? Because ABM, as we saw, is a process that costs a lot. And it requires a lot of data. And so to do that, we thought we need to attack the intent layer. Right? We need to find the providers that will tell us when a company is starting to have intent, but they have not formalized it in the way of coming to us. And we have found that data. If you think of the process we had for the IP data, we took the IP, we then found the companies, we scored the companies, we dropped that into a user record, and we sent an email. OK, so let's focus first on the collection side, on the left side of the graph. Let's find more companies. We found quite a few. Those are just examples. Apptopia tells us when a company is installing an SDK on their mobile app or when they're changing their app versions. And that's amazing because I can then predict the next release, the next major release of their mobile app, and I can contact the PM a month before they release a new app. Datanyze does something similar, but for web technologies. And so I can see when the contract for my competitor is coming up because I know they renewed 12 months ago, 10 months ago. Bomboa is even more interesting. They connect to ad exchanges, and they collect all the data of companies that are reading specific topics, and they give me a feed of who's surging on what topic, which companies are surging on what topic. And so I can tell you 3 months before they convert what they read, and I can expand that to all the people reading the same topic. On the right side of the graph, however, I can also add more output channels. I don't need to limit myself to email, web content, or advertising, right? I can add some physical goods, right? I can do advertising preheating, which is displaying advertising before we send the outbound email. And so now I'm in a situation where I have a lot of data, but from the customer's perspective, it's actually a progressive situation. Because as I capture data, I can compute an intent score. I can compute a sales velocity score, which means I can start injecting more money. I can pay more because I have a higher certainty that that lead will convert, right? And this goes over a series of weeks or months. And that's amazing. But now I'm starting to have a problem, right? And my problem is I've built a system that's meant to scale, and I've got a scaling issue. Because some companies appear on multiple signals on a short period of time. And I'm trying to create pairs of events into actions, but 6 times 6, 6 to the power 6, is already 84,000 options, right? And so if I want to say, what happens when a company appears on Apptopia, I got to decide what happens, the chat, the email, then the web content. I got to decide the order. And so I've got a scaling issue. And the only way to solve that scaling issue, of course, is where we're going, and it's to add some kind of an AI layer in the middle, right? And that AI will then decide, based on the signals, based on the score we compute, what is the next best action? What do we know we should do, right? And there's just too many options for us to do that manually. So that's the goal. The goal is to know which company to contact, who within that company, when to contact them, about what topic, and through which channel, completely automatically. And it's not about firing salespeople. It's about focusing them on where they're good, which is handling conversations with humans. It's not about handling large amounts of data or scoring with large amounts of data. I don't think they're good there. Thank you very much. And I'm going to take a few questions with Slido. So what is the Clearbit hit rate for a visitor domain? So for the IP data, which is the question here, on the average, in my past company at Segment, it was 26% on the homepage. It increases with the company size of the visitor. So for example, for the Fortune 500, we're talking of 90% coverage. On the sign-up page of Segment, where there's higher intent, it was about 50%. So it's just a linear progression curve. Next one, as a VP of growth, how is your team set up and who do you report into? That's a tricky one. So the Segments team had 3 people. And there was like one guy who was half PM, half engineer, and one guy who was marketer and sales, and myself. Very small team to build all of that. And we were reporting in various times either to the head of marketing or to the head of sales and revenue or to the CEO. So it just depends. How long have I been at Drift? 2 weeks. So it's very new, which is why I don't have a lot of things to say about it yet, maybe next year. But my goal in joining Drift is not only to replicate those recipes that have worked for me, but also to create all of this as a product. What's the Clearbit match rate on contact information? If it's a non-business domain, if it's a business domain, so if you have a non-generic email address, we're talking of 90% in the US. Can this work for SME or only enterprise leads? So I got 30 questions. 30 seconds. I'm just going to answer that one. It works for everyone, but you need to focus. I actually have a second talk with Francis, the co-founder of Mad Kudu at 405, and we're going to talk specifically of how to apply this for growth stage companies. Thank you very much, and have a great day.